MLG Winter Championships are coming up, guys. March 15th, not too far away at all. If you're anywhere in the United States, if you're anywhere in the world, you should be there. If you have some extra money to pay for a plane ticket and a hotel room. But you can save some money. If you buy a pass online right now, $35. If you buy at the door, it's $50. So be sure to take advantage of that. It's going to be a spectacular event, of course. Right now, we're trying to find out who's actually going to be there to play in the Heart of the Swarm tournament. It's going to be either Idra or Minigun. We're currently in their best of 5. Let's go ahead and get into Game 2, if that's okay with you.
That is okay with me. Minigun, of course, did win game number 1, but game number 2 here on Whirlwind, a very different map than Cloud Kingdom.
All right, here we are in game number 2. In the top left-hand location, we have the green Zerg player, currently on Team Evil Geniuses. Down 1-0 in this best of 5, he is Idra. His opponent in the top right-hand location from Team Root Gaming took the spot of Dodoro when Dodoro could not play in this tournament. Stepping up to the plate and playing quite well so far, he is Minigun. Currently up 1-0. Can he continue with this not too shabby play?
I think this is going to be a very good map for Minigun here. Whirlwind, of course, is a great map for mass airplay. Minigun, no stranger to these late-game death ball type compositions. We saw how powerful Creator was against Nesty with that mass airplay once he established the 3 bases. And of course, last game we saw how well Minigun knows about establishing 3 bases, defending against that speed and aggression. He had no trouble at all getting that 3-base economy.
Now, talking about last game just briefly, what could Idra have done differently to fare against that timing push from Minigun? Or was it just too strong after that 3rd base went up?
Well, you know, I mean, of course, not getting caught so off guard by DTs would have been huge. Those DTs did so much damage to him. But the other thing is that speeding aggression and how little it did really kind of set the tone for that match. There was a big question right when he went into the 3rd. And the Nexus was about 3/4 of the way done. There was 1 cannon there. Could he have focused solo speedings on Nexus and canceled it? It's not at all clear. He chose not to, which of course is the more conservative, safe option. But, you know, he may have been able to get it. I don't know. Maybe if he built 6 more Zerglings, had him rallied in behind those, then he almost for sure would have been able to get it. But that type of Zergling commitment did put him a little bit on the back foot. And then the DTs sent him really reeling. And, of course, that Stalker attack was almost just a nail in the coffin.
Yeah, nicely plotted game there from Minigun. Obviously, it was a step-by-step process to get to that point where he was attacking his opponent's 3rd base. I also like the awareness of going for that 3rd and ignoring that 4th, realizing that the 3rd base is probably more important at that time. But we'll have to see what adjustments these players make in this game. Similar builds at the start so far. We have no gases just yet here from Idra. Might take a 3rd fairly soon. Meanwhile, his opponent taking, again, a very fast natural expansion after that forge, throwing down the cannon and the gateway, adding on 2 gases in his main base. The map is Whirlwind, so you mentioned airplay. Pretty big base. I wouldn't be surprised to see Minigun go for that. I think we've seen airplay from Protoss pretty much every game we've cast on this map, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. It's a very good map for airplay. One of the reasons that makes it so good is just the walking distances are so much longer that any ground-based aggression, you have a lot more time to reactively build cannons against. Another big reason why I see a lot of Protoss go airplay is just because ground play isn't quite as strong here. With these large walking distances, Zerg has a better time reactively producing units, any type of ground-based aggression. And also, it's a very open map. Anytime you engage on the ground, the Zerg won't have a very hard time setting up a really nice surround on your army as it moves out across, not to mention run-bys and just working around your army, threatening counterattacks.
Minigun able to scout out the 3rd base of his opponent, very important to see, so you can know what to prepare for, so you can know how potentially greedy you can be. Minigun chrono boosting out a Stalker here, has a Zealot on the way. Mothership Core has not yet begun, unless my eyes are playing tricks on me. No, there it is, at the natural expansion. So we'll have to see if Minigun goes for that light aggression toward that 3rd base in the beginning once again. Of course, that can be a nice tactic to try to get your opponent to make Lings instead of drones, and of course, to pressure your opponent while potentially taking a 3rd base. So we'll keep an eye on what Minigun ends up doing on if he adds additional gateways, if he adds tech. There we go. He's actually putting down a robotic facility.
Wow, Idra already making 8 Zerglings. He really wants to either get ahead of this attack or perhaps looking to send those to maybe deny a fast third. It's unclear at the moment. Of course, in some of the past games, we've seen Zergs defend his aggression just using queens. Whirlwind, it's a little bit harder to get those queens where you want them as a creep between natural and third. It takes a little bit to get it connected, so Idra going for those Zerglings instead.
Minigun going to start targeting down some drones here, but Link's coming out here from Idra. Going to try to micro the weakened ones back. Minigun going to back away. Might be happy with that damage, but now the Mothership Core is going to be joining in on the fun. So Minigun might very well just turn around and engage at that third base. Once again, 10 drones in production here from Idra. Also a Roach Horn, but Slowling's coming out on the field. Going to spot that Mothership Core, going to try to trap the Zealot, and he's going to be successful, I think. No, Zealot might get out alive. Wow, pretty good micro here from Minigun.
Yeah, great micro. A lot of Zerglings going down. Idra with a fast Roach Horn as well. But I don't even know how much Roaches are going to help, as Minigun's going to be playing defensive until he gets those Immortals down the field. In fact, it looks like Minigun may be going for 2-base Immortal timing.
3 additional gateways on the way here from Minigun. Let's see how many more he decides to add on. We got a lot of Immortals in production. I don't think he's made an Observer just yet, which means he really wants to prioritize that Immortal production. Yes, another one in production, and likely going to Chronoboost that out. Stalker and Zealot trying not to get killed. The Zealot finally getting taken out. The Stalker going to micro away, and the Mothership Core doing some damage from above. So Minigun getting a little bit of, of aggression going and trying to get his opponent to make units instead of drones, but he's stopped at 44 Harvesters. I think Minigun, as you said before, is going for that 2-base timer.
He definitely is. Of course, he's trying to build his gateways somewhere where the Overlord can't see them. If you notice, he's building them on the left side of the main after the Overlord has already seen everything. But the question is, will Idra realize that there's no probes being produced on the main base? You will realize that it's only saturated at 2 per mineral patch. That should tell Minigun has stopped probe production, which should cue him on to exactly what's going on.
We got Roach Speed on the way here from Idra, +1 missile attacks as well. Speed about to finish up, making exclusively units at this point. So you're right, he might very well have noticed that his opponent did halt the probe production. Of course, very important to know this is coming from your Protoss opponent, so you can do so you can stall it even as much as possible. Speaking of stalling, Minigun actually coming out to the middle of the map here, already extending quite a bit. Mothership Core overhead, and Idra's going to be attacking across the field here. Has to be careful, doesn't want to get trapped by Force Fields. There's a Time Warp from
Time Warp
Minigun.
kind of whiffed though, not able to get a single kill, and that's actually important energy that's being used. But on the good side for Minigun, look at these proxy pylons right outside of Idra's base this early on. This makes his push so much harder to stop if you can get these proxy pylons up.
All right, Idra is still making more and more Roaches and Lings. +1 missile attack's about to finish. Roach speed is about 70% of the way done, but Minigun has so many force fields available here out of these sentries. Idra coming forward, trying to bait some of those forward. Time Warp going down, and force fields here from Minigun. Immortal getting targeted down, but he is going to get taken out. Minigun having to expend a lot of force fields there, a lot of energy, and losing an Immortal.
Yeah, not a good trade for him at all. Idra, of course, probably lost a little more in cost that battle, but you gotta consider the Time Warp and all those force fields being used. And Idra's now getting Hydras into the action. Road speed is finishing up. +1 range weapons is finishing up. He's killing the rocks here so he can swarm down that ramp a little bit easier.
We've got to watch out, see if he sends some units across the back to potentially set up a concave. Minigun going straight back into pro production. War Prism on the way. Robotics facility on the, or Robotics Bay on the way, I should say, on the way to Colossus, potentially, of course. So Minigun might be realizing, okay, this might not work. Trying to trap some Lings, getting a few, but Idra still playing this quite well.
Very, very, very solid play by Idra. Constant injects, creating a swarm of units coming out. He's at 152 supply. A little bit blocked for the moment here, but his army is still significantly larger than Minigun's. Minigun's trying to hold the low ground, very low in force fields. All Idra has to do is set up a flank, and he would absolutely slaughter that army.
A lot of tension between these two players right now, both posturing just
Idra
very close to each other, just down the ramp, just up the ramp from each other. Minigun down in supply, 155 to 116, and Idra seeing that there's no third base, wondering what's going on, might try to send an Overseer into his opponent's main base to discover, okay, what is he doing? And it looks like Minigun is just going to go straight for that Colossi production and potentially go for a 2-base hush. Look at this, Idra setting up a flank potentially. Keep in mind though, Minigun can recall out whenever he wants, so we'll have to keep a close eye on that Mothership Core.
Idra coming down the
coming
ramp,
forward.
from
We need a
two
recall.
sides.
There's the recall from Minigun, and he's going to get out of there.
He's going to get out of there, but Idra's on 3 bases at 2. The Mothership Core will not have much energy in the next battle to use Time Warps. Colossi could be instrumental, but Idra's going to have such a swarm of units already pretty much maxed.
Yeah, he's got to set up.
drones on the way.
He's got to set up concaves over here. I mean, you never want to engage a Protoss opponent in a choke point. So Do not be surprised to see Idra trying to spread out his units here in preparation for Minigun potentially coming down here. Because Minigun eventually has to push out, obviously. He doesn't have a third base. He's on a bit of a timer here. If he lets Idra stay on 3 bases for too long, it might be a situation where he just can't come back. Idra even adding on a 4th hatchery, but look at this. Minigun setting up a War Prism drop.
Idra building defenses to defend against these drops. 2 Spores in a natural, Spine Core in a natural as well, a Spine Core into main. So he has a lot of defenses set up. Actually, he's got Spine Cores at every single base.
Minigun, actually, I need to keep a close eye on that War Prism for me. We have Minigun coming to the middle of the map here with Zealots, Stalkers, Sentries, and Colossi looking for an engagement at the same time. The War Prism heading into the main base of Idra. We'll have to see what kind of damage that can get done. Being dropped in the middle line there at the same time. Minigun posturing his army just outside his opponent's 3rd base. Gonna go for an engagement, trying to distract Idra. Is Idra gonna bite?
It looks like he's going to defend the main with ease, but is he going to be able to get in position to defend the 3rd base? The Zealots, more being warped in. Missouri trying to clean them up. Hydra's being warped in main, but look at that battle.
Oh my
Force
gosh. Idra trying to find a way to engage this, but the force fields here from Minigun are too good. Trying to set up a bit of a flank, but Idra's units are all melting away. Not the composition you necessarily want against the Colossi, because how do you deal with them if the force fields are good? And they are good here from Minigun. Spire about to finish, at which point he could potentially get those corruptors on the field. But look at this, the sentries slowly starting to run out of energy. Idra trying to be cautious, trying to wait until there's a gun, and that's when he can converge onto Minigun and go after those Colossi.
He's going to converge, but his food is dropping. So much of his units are still in production. Mini's got a giant Protoss Death Ball there. Idra's on to retreat, but 3 Colossi with range 2 Immortals. The Zerg units are being melted.
The VIPs of this battle are those Colossi. Idra dropping down the LOL, and he's going to leave. Idra, just great defense against that initial 2-base aggression from Minigun. That was essentially all in. I mean, he halted pro production. He had no intentions of taking a 3rd, but you know, the thing he did, like if at first it doesn't succeed, you know, try again. Is that the thing? I'm not so sure, because what Minigun did there, he realized, okay, this 2-base push is probably not going to work. Behind this, I'm going to go into Colossi though, and then Idra wasn't able to identify that fast enough because he didn't have a Spire. I mean, he didn't really have a response to the Colossi.
Yeah, I mean, you can deal with that attack without a Spire, but what you've got to do as a Zerg player, you've got to engage your army as it leaves their base. You got to find a spot. You can trace the path they'll cross as they move across the map, and you got to say, okay, right when he's at this spot, I'll attack him from 4 sides.
Yes.
That's going to burn all his force fields.
Which you can do on a map like Whirlwind.
Whirlwind is very easy to set up those flanks, and if you do that, you may not dominate that battle. You may even lose it. But they're going to have no force fields left. Your Remax will easily defend. Yeah. The problem there, what Minigun did so well, that War Prism came in there. And
well, it didn't do damage, Axlav.
No, it didn't, but Idra sent his whole army back on a defensive mode. And it really, I mean, you can't afford to do this. You can't give up that space in the middle of the map.
Once Minigun can sprint his army into position right outside that 3rd base where those choke points are, he has complete control over the battle. He knows exactly where his walls are around him. He knows where he can put those force fields down to keep those Hydras and Roaches away, while the Colossi fry everything. When you don't have Corruptors in that situation, you need those big concaves. You need to be able to surround the Protoss army and take advantage of the high DPS of the Hydras and the swarm mentality of the Zerg race. But Idra unable to do that. Minigun, great distraction tactic with the War Prism, able to get his army into position, able to convert himself a victory in game number 2. So Minigun is going to go up 2-0 against Idra. Can he convert to victory in Game 3, or will Idra win 3 in a row? Of course, the winner of this best of 5 qualifies for the MLG Winter Championship on March 15th. Stay tuned, guys. Game 3 coming up.